Hey everyone, welcome to Close Look. Kev Natwal here with you. I'm sitting with a very young, inspirational, talented, and very thoughtful individual who goes by the name of Nima Farzaneh. He did something extraordinary in 2010 over the Christmas holidays. He went homeless for the holidays. I'm extremely excited to hear his story, so let's take a close look. Nima, how are you doing this evening?
Great, thank you very much. How are you?
Yeah. Wonderful, fantastic. Extremely excited to hear you going homeless for the holidays. Let's start by just talking about who you are, what you do for school, and where you go to school and what you study.
Sure. Well, I graduated from UBC with a combined major in microbiology and computer science. And then I worked for 4 years for Genome BC, working on spruce trees and looking into their genome. And then I recently started going back to school, and now I'm doing my second bachelor's, this time in a double major in math and economics.
Wonderful. Do you also have a job?
Right now, I'm just a student, so no.
Yeah. How do you make ends meet financially?
Well, I referee soccer on the weekends, so other than that, I do get a student loan, so it's really expensive nowadays, but you can, I think in the end, everything kind of works out. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So going homeless for the holidays, what sparked an interest in you going homeless for the holidays?
Well, I was heading to work. I was taking the bus heading to work, and this thought came into my head. The thought was, well, how does it feel like to be homeless during Christmas? I've always been with my family every Christmas. You know, we've always had food, we've always had shelter. So I just wanted to know what people who don't have a family or who are living on the streets go through, and that's where it all started, actually.
And how long were you homeless for?
I went for a week. I started with absolutely no money. All I had was a garbage bag full of clothes to keep me warm, and other than that, I was just I also took a notebook with me, and I took a pen and paper, and I took a lot of notes. I took over 100 pages, about 120 pages of notes, and I wrote down everything that happened to me from the morning to at night, and even while I was sleeping, everything. I wrote everything down that I could.
Everything down. So like all of your experiences. What are some of the experiences? I'm excited to hear the experiences that you experienced in relation to other individuals who also lived on the streets, and also individuals just passerbys.
Yeah, I mean, once you put yourself in the role of being somebody who's homeless, people treat you differently. And unfortunately, one of the things that I noticed is that the people, people like us, I guess, do treat the homeless in a very poor way. Not everyone, of course. There are always exceptions, but that's one of the things I noticed very early on, actually.
Could you please provide us with an example of how you were treated differently, and how it must have been just a complete shock to you, a reality check?
Yeah, there honestly, there are lots of stories that I could tell you, but I'm going to actually tell you one about John, the firefighter. I was sitting at McDonald's around, I think it was 4 a.m., 5 a.m., and you have to keep in mind that this is during the Christmas time, so it's really cold, and the McDonald's on Granville Street is open 24 hours a day, so it's a nice place to warm up. I was there, and there were a few other people there, and I noticed this one man who was sitting close to me, and he was kind of playing with his hair a lot, and kind of moving his head around. It looked like he was in pain of some sort. So I started asking him, hey, how's it going? And started a conversation. I'm like, how are you? And he pointed at his ankle, right? And I was curious. I said, oh, what happened to your ankle? And he started explaining to me a story of how he was a firefighter, and there was a burning building, and he wasn't on duty at the time, but he decided to run into the building to see if anybody's in there, because I think what he said was he heard a scream. So he ran in, and he did notice there was a woman in there, and he grabbed her, and as he was running out, I guess something happened, his foot got stuck or something like that, and part of the building collapsed. And his ankle's been hurt ever since, and he has a metal pole in there or whatever. And that story was very moving for me, because it's something that you wouldn't expect. You would say, okay, well, this guy looks homeless, or he looks poor, and we just judge them right away without knowing the entire story of it.
So he, in fact, was homeless.
I don't know if he was homeless, but he was, definitely in pain. And if we were to stereotype him, we would definitely, say something like he's either homeless or poor. He was definitely not well off because of the way he was, I guess dressed and stuff. And I brought a bunch of extra socks with me because I know that's when your socks get wet and you're on the street, it's like the worst thing. And so I offered him a pair of socks, and he changed his sock in the restaurant. And at that time, one of the cashiers from McDonald's came by, and he said that I'm sorry, but you have to leave right away. And I asked him why, and he said that because he's taking off his shoes in the restaurant or taking off his socks in the restaurant. And at that point in time, I felt obliged because I knew his story. I stood up and I asked the cashier, I'm like, excuse me, but do you know what this guy did? Do you even know his story? And right away the cashier said, oh, he's probably poor, or he just can't afford anything else or whatever. And I said, well, no, actually he saved someone from a burning building, and if you were in that burning building, he would save you. He didn't judge, he wouldn't judge you inside the building, but it seems like you're kind of judging him right now. And I think that's one of the biggest problems we have in our society, in our city today, actually, or anywhere in the world, actually.
Huge problem. I mean, that's a perfect example of judging a book by its cover and how it's so superficial and outright stupid.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, that's basically what I went through throughout my experiences. And another thing that I noticed is that everyone has different experiences in their lives. So we're all obviously not brought up the same. We're all different people. We have different experiences. And sometimes some of the people that I talked to did have some very negative experiences as they were growing older. For example, some of them may have been raped by one of their family members for many years, or some people are just born in an extremely impoverished state, or they have parents that are alcoholics, and all these things, obviously create a world for them that's just not positive. And once you see the world in that kind of point of view, then everything becomes more negative, and it's easy for us to judge that without ever being raped for many years, or being physically or mentally abused for many years. So that's something to keep in mind, I think, when it comes to people who are living in different states, or in poor neighborhoods, or are drug addicted.